Singapore is shifting border security to the check-in desk. From January the 30th, airlines will receive no boarding directives telling them not to let certain passengers on Singapore-bound flights if they're flagged as high risk or don't meet entry rules. It's part of a move towards upstream screening, with checks happening long before anyone reaches Changi. Airlines face fines for non-compliance, and the system will extend to sea arrivals by 2028. So I'm joined now by Adam Hancock, a journalist usually based in Singapore, but joining me now from sunny Denpasar in Bali. Adam, hello to you. What is driving Singapore to introduce these new rules now?
Well, they're trying to really toughen up their border measures. And in their opinion, the best way of doing this is kind of taking the processes that are already in place, but making them a little bit more extreme, a little bit more strict. So at the moment, when people are flying to Singapore, it will flag up on the flight manifest or from the arrival form that people have to submit before boarding a plane to Singapore, and it will flag up any travellers that they want to check out. They might think they're kind of high risk or undesirable, these words that they've been using to describe these travellers. But currently, those checks take place when they arrive in Singapore at the immigration desk. But now they want to actually make those checks happening before they've even got on the plane to Singapore. So it's kind of removing what they currently do to another country and ensuring that they don't even get to Singapore in the first place. And as I said, it's part of a wider initiative, really, to keep potential threats from reaching Singapore shores in the first place. As you said, it's going to be rolled out towards arrivals overseas, coming in on the sea. And they've also been looking at land border points as well. There's two main crossings into Singapore overland, or over bridges, I should say. A little bit trickier in terms of that because people are often, taking buses over the border or driving over the border. So it's a lot of paperwork to process and it's difficult to stop them before they get in the queue for the border. But yeah, I think it's just part of enhanced measures really to try and keep the country safe. And obviously it's a huge travel hub. Singapore receives millions of visitors every year coming through Changi Airport, and they want to do their best to try and protect the country.
I mean, surely this is going to have a huge impact on airlines operating flights to Changi. It's going to be expense for them. It's going to be difficult for them to process all these travellers.
Absolutely, yeah. I think this is no small feat. It's putting the responsibility squarely with the airline. It's quite a strict situation. The carriers that regularly come to Singapore, they've all been briefed about this. It's coming in at the end of January. They're going to have to do a lot more checks on passengers. So if something flags up, if a passenger flags up, it's called a no boarding directive, or in classic Singapore speak, NDB. And if a passenger flags up as an NDB but ends up boarding the plane, then the airline can face a fine up to 10,000 Singapore dollars. And in some cases, even employees of the airlines can also be fined or even jailed as well. So they're certainly not messing around with this. And airlines are going to have to be incredibly careful about this, making sure that no passengers with one of these MBD notices actually ends up on a plane.
So what kinds of passengers do end up with those notices? What kind of people are they trying to stop?
So it's people who they deem to be a security risk. So they may have been involved in crime or involved in activities that would threaten the safety of the public or national security. There was a recent example of that in September. A man called Nathan Law, who's a Hong Kong pro-democracy activist. He tried to come to Singapore. He actually did arrive in Singapore to try and attend an event. He had all the correct paperwork, but he was actually denied entry, and the Home Affairs Ministry said it was because his presence in Singapore would be not in Singapore's national interest. So it's people like that who they deem like a threat to either safety or the security of Singapore. Also those, and the majority of people actually who are turned away is due to immigration risks. So people who, they're concerned they might work illegally or overstay their visa or engage in activities which, are not permitted under their visa. And also just it's as simple as people who don't actually meet the requirements to enter the country. So they might not have the right visa, or their passport might not be valid for 6 months. So there's a kind of wide range of reasons why somebody might be denied entry.
And is there an appeals system?
Yes. So people who actually are denied entry, they can appeal this. They can't immediately get on the plane. They have to write to Singapore's checkpoint authority. to seek approval for entry. So I imagine it will not be a quick process. I don't think they'll be able to do it at the airport and get on the next flight. But yeah, there is an appeal, but it won't be immediate. So they won't actually be able to board that specific flight.
And so finally, is Singapore setting a trend here, or is this simply classic Singapore just being efficient and controlled and one step ahead of everyone else?
Well, I think it's a little bit of both, really. I mean, it's not entirely something completely new. It's not something that they've invented. Other countries do kind of use this no boarding directive, or they screen people in advance and ensure that they can't get on flights because of security issues. I think Singapore is preparing for increased travel in the coming years. They're opening a new terminal. The rebound after the pandemic has been insane in terms of travel, and they now deem that this is actually more efficient. An efficient way to screen people is to screen them before they even arrive in the country. They also now have better systems as well. So a lot of the time when you arrive in Singapore or you depart, you don't actually have to show your passport. It's all done via facial recognition. So they're picking up a lot more people as well who they don't want to enter through that as well. I think the numbers for the first half of this year were a lot higher of people denied entry compared to the last year. So I think it's kind of classic Singapore. They like to complicate things and have lots of measures in place, but also it is something that's not completely new in aviation as well.
Adam, thank you very much indeed.